The fluorescent lights of the corner convenience store buzzed overhead like dying insects, casting a sickly yellow glow over rows of processed food I couldn't afford. My fingers trembled as I counted the crumpled bills in my palm, $7.32. Enough for instant ramen and maybe, if I was lucky, a carton of eggs. The linoleum floor beneath my worn sneakers was sticky with something I didn't want to identify, and the whole place smelled of stale coffee and industrial cleaner trying desperately to mask the scent of decay. I was invisible here. Just another exhausted woman in sweatpants at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. Dark circles under my eyes like bruises. My unwashed hair pulled into a messy bun. 6 months ago, I'd worn designer dresses and had my nails done every week. 6 months ago, I'd been someone else entirely. My hand instinctively went to my stomach, still flat, still my secret, as I reached for the cheapest brand of noodles on the shelf. 3 months along, and I hadn't told a soul. How could I? The father didn't even know I existed beyond that one night, that one impossible, earth-shattering night that had ruined me for anyone else. The bell above the door chimed, letting in a gust of October wind that carried the smell of rain and expensive cologne. I froze. I knew that scent, bergamot and cedar, with something darker underneath, something that spoke of power and danger and sleepless nights spent remembering hands on my skin. Well, look what the cat dragged in, but it wasn't his voice. It was worse. I turned slowly, my heart dropping into my stomach like a stone into deep water. Derek stood in the doorway, his arm around a blonde I didn't recognize, his smile sharp as broken glass. My ex-boyfriend looked exactly the same. Same perfectly styled hair, same expensive jacket, same cruel twist to his lips when he'd found someone to hurt. "Emma," he said, my name dripping with mock surprise. "I almost didn't recognize you. You got fat." His laugh echoed through the store, bouncing off the cheap shelves and fluorescent lights. The blonde giggled, pressing closer to him, her manicured nails, red, perfectly done, digging into his arm. Heat flooded my face. My hand dropped from my stomach like I'd been burned. I wasn't showing yet, couldn't be, but suddenly I felt enormous, exposed, like my secret was written across my body in letters everyone could read. "Derek," I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. "Wow, what happened to you?" He stepped closer, and I could smell whiskey on his breath. His eyes traveled over me with the same disdain he'd shown that last night, when he'd told me I wasn't worth the trouble, that I was too boring, too poor, too everything he didn't want. "I mean, I knew you'd let yourself go after we broke up, but this is..." He gestured vaguely at my body, and shame burned through me like acid. I should have said something, should have told him to go to hell, that I was better off without him, that I'd found someone who made me feel things he never could. But the words stuck in my throat, trapped behind the lump of humiliation that threatened to choke me. "Leave her alone, man," the clerk called from behind the register, but his voice was uncertain, not wanting trouble. Derek ignored him. "You know, I actually feel bad now. I mean, breaking up with you was the right call, but I didn't think you'd completely fall apart." His hand reached out, and I flinched. He grabbed my chin, tilting my face toward the harsh light. "You look terrible. When's the last time you slept, or showered?" I jerked away from his touch, my heart hammering. "I'm fine." "You're clearly not." He laughed again, that same hollow sound that used to make my stomach turn. "God, Emma, have some self-respect. Hit the gym or something. Though I guess that costs money, and you never did figure out how to keep a job, did you?" The blonde shifted uncomfortably, finally sensing that this had crossed a line from casual cruelty into something darker. I wanted to disappear, to melt into the sticky floor and never have to face those mocking eyes again. My hand clutched the package of ramen so hard the plastic crinkled, the only sound in the sudden silence except for that damned buzzing light. "We should go," the blonde murmured, tugging at Derek's arm. But he wasn't done. He never was, not when he'd found someone to make small. "Seriously though, Emma, get yourself together. This is just sad." He pulled out his wallet, new, leather, expensive, and held out a $20 bill like it was charity. "Here, buy yourself a salad or something." The humiliation was complete, total. I stood there, frozen, unable to move or speak or do anything but exist in this moment of absolute degradation. That's when the door chimed again. The temperature in the store seemed to drop 10 degrees. The air changed, became heavier, charged with something I couldn't name. Every instinct I had suddenly screamed danger, but not the kind that made me want to run, the kind that made me want to lean closer. I smelled him before I saw him. That same cologne, but richer now, more potent. Bergamot and cedar and something that made my knees weak. Heavy footsteps, measured and deliberate, crossing the linoleum. The clerk behind the register went rigid, his hand sliding toward something beneath the counter before he seemed to think better of it. Derek's smile faltered. His girlfriend's face went pale. I turned. He stood 3 feet away, and the world narrowed to just him. Tall, taller than I remembered, in a black suit that probably cost more than my entire apartment. The fabric moved like liquid shadow across shoulders that could carry the weight of empires. His face was sharp angles and dangerous beauty, with eyes so dark they were almost black, fixed on Derek with the focused intensity of a predator that had just spotted prey. But it was the stillness that terrified. The absolute, utter quiet of a man who didn't need to raise his voice to make people bleed. 2 other men flanked him, both built like brick walls, both with the telltale bulges under their jackets that said they were armed. One of them, dark-skinned, with a scar across his jaw, swept the store with his gaze, checking exits, threats, everything. The other, younger but no less dangerous, positioned himself near the door. No one moved. No one breathed. His eyes met mine for half a second, and I saw something flicker there. Recognition, concern, before they slid back to Derek with glacial coldness. "Is there a problem here?" His voice was quiet, soft almost, but it carried the weight of violence barely leashed, of power that didn't need to be shouted. Derek's face had gone from smug to uncertain, to afraid in the space of seconds. No problem. Just catching up with an old friend. That's not what it looked like." He took a single step forward, and Derek took 2 back, releasing the $20 bill. It fluttered to the floor between us like a white flag. "It looked like you were insulting this young woman." We were just talking. I didn't mean..." "You called her fat." Not a question. A statement. He'd heard everything. "You tried to give her money like she was begging on the street." Another step. Derek stumbled backward into a shelf, knocking over a display of chips. "And you touched her without permission." The blonde had already edged toward the door, smart enough to recognize a predator when she saw one. "Look, I don't want any trouble," Derek stammered, his hands raised. "I was just joking around. We used to date. It's just how we talk." "No." The word cut through the air like a knife. "That's not how anyone talks to her, not anymore." I should have been afraid, should have run. This man, whose name I didn't even know, who I'd spent one perfect, terrible night with 3 months ago, was clearly dangerous. Everything about him screamed organized crime, from the expensive suit to the armed guards, to the way the clerk was now pretending to be very interested in something under the counter. But all I felt was a flutter in my chest that had nothing to do with fear. His hand moved, a subtle gesture, and the man with the scar stepped forward. Derek made a strangled sound. "Please," Derek whispered. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll leave. I'll never bother her again, I swear." "You'll do more than that." Those dark eyes never left Derek's face. "You'll apologize to her, properly. On your knees." The store was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat, rapid and wild. Derek's face went from white to red, humiliation and fear warring in his expression. The blonde had disappeared entirely, the door swinging shut behind her. Derek's knees hit the floor, the sticky linoleum leaving marks on his expensive pants. "Emma, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said those things. You're beautiful, and I was an asshole, and I'm sorry." The words should have felt good. Vindication, revenge, all the things I'd dreamed about in the months since Derek had torn my heart out and stomped on it. But I felt nothing except an overwhelming awareness of the man standing beside me, radiating controlled violence, and something else I couldn't name. "Good," he said softly. Now leave. If I ever hear that you've spoken to her again, if you've so much as looked in her direction, if you've breathed the same air," he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Derek scrambled to his feet and ran. Actually ran, leaving the $20 bill on the floor, leaving his dignity, leaving everything in his desperation to get away. The door chimed. Silence fell. I became aware, suddenly and overwhelmingly, that I was alone with him, with them. His guards hadn't moved, hadn't relaxed. We're still watching everything with the careful attention of men who expected violence at any moment. He turned to me, and his expression softened in a way that made my breath catch. "Are you all right?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. Up close, he was even more devastating than I remembered. Sharp cheekbones that could cut glass, full lips that I knew tasted like sin, and those eyes. God, those eyes that saw everything, knew everything. Emma. My name on his tongue was a revelation. He remembered. Of course he remembered. That night had been burned into my soul. Why would it be any different for him? "What are you doing here?" "Shopping," I managed, then felt immediately stupid. Obviously, I was shopping. I was in a convenience store at 9 p.m., holding instant ramen. His gaze dropped to the package in my hands, then to the $7 scattered on the floor where I'd dropped them, then back to my face. Something hard entered his expression. "Where do you live?" Why? "Because I'm taking you home." Not a question. Not a request. "Marco, get the car." The younger guard disappeared through the door immediately. No hesitation, no argument. "You don't have to," I started, but he cut me off with a look. "I do." He reached down, picked up my money, and pressed it back into my palm. His fingers were warm, calloused, and the brief touch sent electricity racing up my arm. "I very much do." "Mr. Dante," the clerk called nervously. "Everything okay?" "Mr. Dante." Finally, a name, though something told me it wasn't his first name, wasn't what I should call him in the darkness of my bedroom when I remembered that night. "Fine, Leo." He pulled out his wallet, black leather, thick with bills, and laid $500 bills on the counter, "For your trouble, and your discretion." "Of course, Mr. Dante, always." The scarred guard, the one he'd called to get the car, returned. "Ready, boss." "Boss, of course." Because a man like this didn't work for anyone. The world bent to him, or it broke. "Come." He held out his hand to me, and I stared at it like it was a snake. "Please." That last word, soft and almost vulnerable, broke through my paralysis. I put my hand in his, and his fingers closed around mine with a gentleness that seemed impossible from someone who radiated such danger. He led me toward the door, his guard falling into step behind us, a human shield between us and the world. Outside, a black SUV idled at the curb. Windows tinted so dark they were nearly opaque, gleaming even in the dim streetlight. Another vehicle, identical to the first, sat behind it. 2 cars, armed guards. A man who walked like he owned the city and everyone in it. What had I done 3 months ago? What had I let into my life with that one night of weakness and want? The guard opened the door, and I hesitated. Once I got in that car, everything would change. I knew it the way I knew my own heartbeat, the way I knew the flutter in my belly that was just beginning to make itself known. "Emma." His voice was low, meant only for me. "I won't hurt you. I swear it on my life, I would never hurt you." I believed him. God help me, I believed him. I got in the car. The interior smelled like leather and him, and the seats were so soft I sank into them like a cloud. He slid in beside me, and the door closed with an expensive thunk that said this vehicle was built to withstand bullets. The partition between us and the driver was up, giving us privacy. We pulled into traffic, smooth and silent. "Where am I taking you?" he asked again. And this time I told him. His jaw tightened when I gave him the address. A neighborhood known for its high crime rate and low rent. "How long have you lived there?" 4 months. Since Derek left. Since I'd lost my job at his father's company. The one I'd gotten because of him, and lost for the same reason. Since my whole life had collapsed around me like a house of cards. Alone? Yes. The The single word hung between us, heavy with everything unsaid. He'd been inside me 3 months ago, had made me scream his name into the darkness of a hotel room so expensive I still couldn't believe it had been real. And I didn't even know his first name. "I'm Dante," he said, as if reading my thoughts. "Dante Moretti. Moretti." The name rang a bell, something I'd heard whispered in fear and respect, something that made people cross themselves and look over their shoulders. But I couldn't place it, couldn't remember where I'd heard it. "I'm Emma Carter. But you already knew that." "I did." His hand was still holding mine, his thumb tracing small circles on my palm that made it hard to think. "I've thought about you. Every day since that night." My heart stuttered. "You have?" "Yes." His eyes met mine in the darkness of the car, and they were blazing with something that made my whole body respond. "I looked for you. I had my people search the entire city, but you'd given me a fake number, and you never told me where you lived, and you disappeared like smoke. I thought it was just one night, that you wouldn't want. You thought wrong." His free hand came up to cup my face, and I leaned into the touch helplessly. "I've had 1,000 women throw themselves at me, Emma. Beautiful women, sophisticated women, women who knew the game and played it well. And not one of them made me feel a fraction of what you did in those few hours. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Dante, I want you." The words were rough, honest, devastating. "I want to take care of you. I want to know everything about you. He stopped himself, jaw clenching. "But first, I need to know, that man, did he hurt you?" "Derek? Not physically, but in other ways." It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway. "He broke up with me 6 months ago, said I was boring, that I wasn't worth the effort. Got me fired from my job, turned our friends against me, made sure I couldn't find work anywhere in the industry." The words spilled out like poison I'd been holding in too long. I lost everything. His expression went dark, dangerous. "Name?" "What?" "His full name, Emma, where he works, where he lives, everything." "Why?" But I knew why. Could see it in the cold fury that had replaced the warmth in his eyes. "Because men who hurt you cease to exist in my world." He said it so simply, like it was obvious. Like ruining or ending someone was as easy as breathing. "Unless you tell me not to." I should have told him no. Should have been horrified. Should have demanded he let me out of the car. But all I felt was a dark satisfaction that someone finally cared that I'd been hurt. "Derek Morrison," I heard myself say. "He works at his father's investment firm downtown. Lives in the Riverside Towers, penthouse level." Dante's smile was sharp and cold as winter. "Good girl." The car slowed, and I realized with a start that we were already at my building, a concrete nightmare with broken security doors and graffiti on the walls. Shame burned through me. This was where I lived now. This was what I'd become. The guard opened the door, but Dante didn't release my hand. "I'm walking you up." "You really don't." "I do." He stepped out of the car, pulling me gently with him. "Marco, stay with the vehicles. Luca, with me." The scarred guard, Luca, fell into step behind us as we entered the building. The elevator was broken, had been for weeks, so we took the stairs. I was acutely aware of Dante behind me, of his eyes on my body as I climbed, of the way the stairwell smelled of urine and desperation. My apartment was on the 4th floor, a studio barely bigger than a closet. I fumbled with my keys, hands shaking, and finally got the door open. Dante's expression when he saw inside made me want to cry. 1 room. A mattress on the floor, no frame, a hot plate instead of a stove, clothes in garbage bags because I couldn't afford a dresser. The bathroom door hung crooked on its hinges, and I could see black mold creeping up the shower wall. No. The word was flat, final. Absolutely not. "It's not that bad, Emma." He turned to me, and his face was harder than I'd ever seen it. "You're not staying here. Get what you need. You're coming with me." "I can't just—" "You can." His hands gripped my shoulders, not hard but firm, unmovable. "I have 7 properties in this city. You can choose any of them. But you're not spending another night in this place. Dante, I don't even know you. You know enough. His eyes dropped to my stomach, and my blood turned to ice. And I think there's something you need to tell me. The world stopped spinning. My hand flew to my stomach instinctively, protectively. And that single gesture told him everything. His eyes tracked the movement, then locked onto my face with an intensity that made my knees weak. How long? His voice was controlled, too controlled, like he was holding back a storm. I don't... The denial died on my lips. There was no point in lying. He could see the truth written across my face, in the way my body had curved inward to shield the tiny life growing inside me. 3 months. The math was simple, devastating, perfect. Mine. Not a question. A statement of absolute fact. I nodded, tears burning my eyes. I didn't know how to find you. I tried, I swear I tried. But you were just gone. And I thought maybe it was better if you didn't know. Because what could a man like you want with... He kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was claiming, possessive. A brand that seared itself into my soul. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me against him, and I melted into his body like I'd been made to fit there. He tasted like mint and danger and something darker, something that made every nerve ending in my body catch fire. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. His forehead rested against mine. His eyes closed, and I could feel him trembling. My child, he whispered, and his voice cracked on the words. You're carrying my child, and you've been living here, alone, struggling. His eyes opened, and they were blazing with something between fury and anguish. Do you have any idea what that does to me? I'm sorry. Don't. His thumb pressed against my lips, silencing me. Don't apologize. Not for this. Never for this. His hand slid down to my stomach, spread wide and possessive over the flat plane. How do you feel? Are you sick? Have you seen a doctor? The questions came rapid fire, and I could barely keep up. I'm fine. A little nauseous in the mornings, but nothing terrible. And no, I haven't. I couldn't afford. His jaw clenched so hard I heard his teeth grind. Luca. The guard stepped forward immediately. Boss? Call Dr. Romanelli. I want her at the penthouse within the hour. Full examination, everything Emma needs. He looked back at me. And call Maria. Tell her to prepare the master suite and have the kitchen stocked. Also... He paused, his eyes sweeping over my meager belongings. Send someone to buy clothes. Everything. Size. His gaze traveled over my body with an assessment that felt like a caress. Size 4. And maternity wear. The best. I'm not a size 4 anymore, I protested weakly. And you can't just... I can. I am. He cupped my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. You're mine now, Emma. You and our baby. That means I take care of you. That means you never want for anything again. That means you live like the queen you are. Understood? I should have argued. Should have insisted on my independence, my pride, but I was so tired, so scared, so desperately grateful that someone was finally offering to help carry the weight I'd been bearing alone. Okay, I whispered. His expression softened, and he pressed a kiss to my forehead. Good girl. Now pack what you want to keep. Luca will have the rest disposed of. Disposed of? I looked around at my shabby belongings. The threadbare blankets, the chipped dishes, the clothes that had seen better days. But you won't need any of it. He was already pulling out his phone, typing rapidly. You'll have new everything, better everything, the best of everything. Within 20 minutes, my entire life had been packed into 2 small bags. It was pathetic, really, how little I had to show for 26 years of existence. Dante carried both bags himself, refusing to let Luca take them, and led me back down the stairs to the waiting SUV. The drive to his penthouse took us into a completely different world. We left behind the broken streets and graffitied buildings, climbing into the hills where the city lights glittered like diamonds scattered across black velvet. The buildings here were sleek and modern, all glass and steel, with security gates and doormen in uniforms that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Dante's building was the most impressive of all, a towering structure that scraped the sky, with a private entrance that required both a key card and a fingerprint scan. The lobby was all marble and gold, with a chandelier that looked like it belonged in a palace. "Mr. Moretti," the doorman said immediately, standing straighter. "Welcome home." "Thank you, Marcus." Dante's hand was on the small of my back, guiding me toward a private elevator. "This is Miss Carter. She'll be living here now. Make sure she has full access to everything." "Of course, sir." The elevator required another fingerprint scan, Dante's, and then we were rising smoothly upward, 42 floors, according to the display, the penthouse level. "How many people live here?" I asked, trying to break the silence that had fallen between us. "In the building? About 60 families. In the penthouse?" He looked at me. "Just me. And now you." The elevator opened directly into his home, and I stepped into a space so beautiful it made my chest ache. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city, the lights spread out below us like offerings. The furniture was modern and expensive, all clean lines and rich fabrics in blacks and grays and deep burgundy. Original artwork hung on the walls. I recognized a Rothko, a Basquiat, pieces that belonged in museums. "This is—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "Home." He set my bags down, then turned to me. "You're home, for as long as you want it." A woman appeared from a doorway I hadn't noticed. Older, maybe 60, with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a neat bun. "Mr. Dante, welcome back. And you must be Miss Emma." She smiled warmly. "I'm Maria. I manage the household." "It's nice to meet you," I managed, feeling completely out of my depth. "Maria, is the master suite ready?" Dante asked. "Of course. I've prepared everything as you requested. And Dr. Romanelli just called. She'll be here in 30 minutes. Perfect." He turned back to me. "Emma, why don't you let Maria show you to your room? You can shower, change, get comfortable. The doctor will examine you, make sure everything is all right with the baby, and then we'll have dinner." It was too much, too fast. My head was spinning. "Dante, I can't just—" "You can." He pulled me against him, his hand cradling the back of my head. "And you will. Please, Emma. Let me do this. Let me take care of you both." The both broke something inside me. He wasn't just accepting the baby, he was claiming it, wanting us. I nodded against his chest, breathing in his scent, letting myself believe for just a moment that this could be real, that I could have this, that I deserved this. "Come, dear," Maria said gently, and I followed her through the penthouse, past a gourmet kitchen that looked like something from a cooking show, past a living room that could have hosted a party for 50 people, down a hallway lined with more art and photographs. Though Dante appeared in none of them. The master suite was bigger than my entire old apartment. A king-sized bed dominated the space, dressed in sheets that looked like they cost a fortune. A sitting area by the windows, a walk-in closet that was currently empty but enormous, and a bathroom done in marble and gold that made me gasp. "The shower has 7 settings," Maria explained, pointing to the controls, "and the tub has jets if you prefer a bath. Towels are here, and I've set out some robes for you. Mr. Dante had me order toiletries. I hope the scents are all right, but if not, just let me know and I'll get whatever you prefer." I stared at the array of expensive products lined up on the counter, everything from designer face wash to body lotions I'd only ever seen in magazines. "This is too much," I whispered. "Mr. Dante doesn't believe in half measures," Maria said with a knowing smile. "When he cares about something, or someone, he goes all in. You'll get used to it." Would I? Could anyone get used to this level of luxury, this kind of care? Maria left me alone, and I stripped off my cheap clothes with shaking hands. The shower was a revelation, hot water that never ran out, water pressure that felt like a massage, steam that filled the enormous space and made everything feel like a dream. I washed my hair with shampoo that smelled like jasmine and cost more per ounce than I used to spend on groceries. When I finally stepped out, wrapped in a robe so soft it felt like wearing a cloud, I found that someone had been in the room. My old clothes were gone, replaced by an outfit laid out on the bed. Designer maternity wear, soft and comfortable and beautiful, underwear still in the package, even slippers. I dressed slowly, marveling at how everything fit perfectly. How had he known my size just by looking? A knock on the door. "Miss Emma? Dr. Romanelli is here." The doctor was a woman in her 50s with a no-nonsense air and warm hands. She set up her equipment in the sitting area of the suite and gave me the most thorough examination I'd ever had, asking questions about my health history, my symptoms, the father's medical background. "Everything looks good," she said finally, packing up her portable ultrasound machine. "You're measuring right on track for 12 weeks. Have you been taking prenatal vitamins?" I shook my head, shame burning through me again. "No judgment," she said kindly. "We'll start you on those today. And I want to see you weekly for the next month, just to make sure everything stays on track. Mr. Moretti has made it very clear that you and the baby are his top priority." "He has?" She smiled. "I've known Dante since he was a boy. I've never seen him like this. You must be very special." Before I could respond, the door opened and Dante strode in. He'd changed too. Still in black, but more casual now. Slacks and a button-down with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms corded with muscle and marked with scars I wanted to trace with my tongue. "Well?" he demanded, going straight to the doctor. "Is she all right? The baby?" "Both are perfectly healthy," Dr. Romanelli assured him. "Though Emma needs to gain some weight, she's underweight for this stage of pregnancy." His jaw clenched. "I'll make sure she eats. I'm standing right here," I protested. He looked at me, and his expression softened. "How do you feel?" "Overwhelmed, confused, like I'm dreaming and I'm going to wake up back in that apartment." "You're never going back there." He crossed to me, pulled me to my feet, into his arms. "I'm going to take care of you, Emma, you and our child. I'm going to give you everything you've ever wanted, and things you haven't even thought to want yet, and in return, all I ask is that you let me." "Why?" The question burst out of me. "Why do you care so much? We spent one night together, and then I disappeared. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything." His hand found my stomach again, spread possessively. "You're carrying my heir, my child. That makes you the most important person in my world. But even if you weren't..." He hesitated, and I saw something vulnerable flicker across his face. "That night meant something to me too, Emma. You meant something to me." Dr. Romanelli cleared her throat. "I'll leave you two alone. Emma, remember? Prenatal vitamins daily, plenty of rest, and eat regularly. I'll see you next week." She left, and we were alone. Dante led me to the sitting area by the windows, settling me on the couch before disappearing briefly and returning with a glass of water and a small bottle of vitamins. "Take one," he instructed. I obeyed, and he watched me swallow it like it was the most important thing in the world. "I've had the kitchen prepare dinner," he said. "Are you hungry?" As if on cue, my stomach growled. I hadn't eaten since this morning, a piece of toast I'd forced down despite the nausea. "Starving." His smile was small but genuine. "Good." Dinner was served in a dining room that could have seated 20, but Dante had the staff set us up at one end of the long table, close enough to talk intimately. The food was incredible. Pasta with fresh tomatoes and basil, grilled chicken, vegetables I didn't even recognize but tasted like heaven. And bread, warm and crusty, with butter that melted on my tongue. I ate like I was starving, because I was. Dante watched me with satisfaction, occasionally adding more to my plate, making sure my water glass stayed full. "Tell me about yourself," he said when I finally slowed down. "Everything. I want to know everything." So I told him. About growing up in foster care, bouncing from home to home, never quite belonging anywhere. About working my way through community college, getting my business degree, landing the job at Morrison Investments. About Derek, who'd seemed like a fairy tale until he'd shown his true colors. About the loneliness and the fear and the desperate hope that had led me to that hotel bar 3 months ago, looking for one night to forget. "And I found you instead," I finished softly. "You did." His hand covered mine on the table. "Tell me about that night. From your perspective." Heat flooded my face. "You were there. You know what happened." I know what I experienced. I want to know what you felt. I took a shaky breath. I saw you at the bar. You were intimidating. Beautiful. Dangerous. Everything I should have stayed away from. But when you looked at me, I felt like I was the only person in the world. Like I mattered. You did. You do. We talked for hours, about everything and nothing. You made me laugh. You listened when I talked. I closed my eyes. And when you kissed me, remembering. I'd never felt anything like that. Like my whole body was on fire. Like I was finally alive. I felt it too, he said roughly. Like lightning. Like coming home. And then the hotel room. God, Dante, the things you did to me. The things we did to each other. His eyes were dark, hungry. I've never lost control like that. Never wanted someone so badly I couldn't think straight. And when I woke up and you were gone, I panicked, I admitted. I thought it was just sex for you, a one-night stand. I didn't want to be pathetic, clinging to something that didn't exist. It existed. It exists. He stood, pulled me to my feet, backed me against the wall. Do you feel this? His body pressed against mine, hard and wanting. This is real, Emma. This need. This hunger. I haven't touched another woman since that night. Haven't wanted to. Because none of them are you. His mouth crashed onto mine and I was lost. His hands were everywhere, learning my new curves, the subtle changes pregnancy had made to my body. When he cupped my breast, fuller now, tender, I moaned into his mouth. Too much. He murmured against my lips. Not enough. I pulled at his shirt, desperate to feel skin. Please, Dante, I need a discreet cough from the doorway. We sprang apart to find Maria standing there, her eyes carefully averted. Forgive the interruption, Mr. Dante, but you have a call. Mr. Salvatore says it's urgent. Dante's expression went cold, hard. The lover disappeared, replaced by the dangerous man I'd seen in the convenience store. Tell him I'll call back. He said it concerns the Rossi situation. A muscle ticked in his jaw. Fine. 5 minutes. He looked at me, and his face softened. I'm sorry, Kara. I have to take this, but don't go anywhere. We're not done. He kissed me once more, hard and possessive, then disappeared through a door I hadn't noticed. I stood there, my body still thrumming with need, my mind spinning. What was I doing? This man was clearly involved in something dangerous, something illegal. The guards, the security, the way people reacted to his name. It all pointed to one conclusion. Dante Moretti was in the Mafia, and I was carrying his child. The reality hit me like a freight train, and I sank into the nearest chair, my hand going to my stomach. What kind of life was I bringing this baby into? What kind of danger? But even as the thoughts formed, I knew the truth. I was already in too deep, already too attached, already too in love with the man who'd claimed me, body and soul, who'd vowed to protect me and our child no matter what. For better or worse, my fate was tied to Dante Moretti's now. And God help me, I didn't want to escape. I woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the warm weight of an arm draped across my waist. For a moment, I didn't remember where I was. Then it all came rushing back. The convenience store, Derek's cruelty, Dante's intervention, the revelation about the baby, the fact that I'd fallen asleep in Dante Moretti's bed. I turned carefully, not wanting to wake him, and found myself face to face with the most dangerous man I'd ever met. In sleep, he looked younger, almost peaceful. The hard edges that made people flinch softened, revealing the man beneath the reputation. Dark lashes fanned across sharp cheekbones, and his lips, those lips that had kissed me senseless last night, were slightly parted. He'd come back from his phone call to find me curled up on the couch, exhaustion finally catching up with me. I remembered him carrying me to bed, his voice a low rumble against my ear as he promised I was safe. Remembered protesting weakly that I should sleep in a guest room, and his flat refusal. You're mine, he'd said simply. You sleep where I sleep. Now, in the morning light, I could study him properly. The scars I'd noticed on his forearms extended up his biceps, some thin and surgical, others jagged and violent. A lifetime of danger written on his skin. My fingers itched to trace each one, to learn the story behind every mark. Staring is rude, Kara, he murmured, his eyes still closed. I jumped, heat flooding my face. I wasn't. You were. His eyes opened, dark and amused. I don't mind. Look all you want. He stretched, the movement causing the sheet to slip lower, revealing a chest carved from marble and marked with more scars. A tattoo sprawled across his ribs, Italian words I couldn't read, surrounded by elaborate designs that looked like they'd taken hours to complete. What does it say? I asked, reaching out to touch before I could stop myself. His hand caught mine, pressed my palm flat against his skin. His heartbeat thundered beneath my touch. La familia è tutto. Family is everything. Is that true? For you? His expression grew distant. It's supposed to be. In my world, family is law. Blood is sacred. You protect your own above all else. He focused on me again. But I learned young that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. Sometimes the family you choose matters more than the one you're born into. What happened? My father happened. His voice was flat, emotionless. He built an empire on blood and fear, controlled everything and everyone around him. My mother, my sister, me. We were all just pieces on his chessboard. When I was 16, I watched him beat my mother unconscious for talking to another man at a charity event. She'd been asking for directions to the bathroom. My breath caught. Dante. She left him that night, took my sister, and ran. My father let them go. They were women, beneath his notice. But me? His laugh was bitter. I was his heir, his legacy. He made sure I understood what that meant. Every scar on my body from age 16 to 23 came from him, training me to be the monster he wanted. You're not a monster, aren't I? He rolled onto his back, staring at the ceiling. I've killed men, Emma, more than I can count. I've built my empire the same way he did, with violence and fear and absolute control. The only difference is, I have limits he never respected. What limits? Women, children, innocence. He turned his head to look at me. I don't hurt people who don't deserve it. I don't traffic in drugs or weapons or anything that destroys communities. My businesses are mostly legitimate now. Real estate, restaurants, construction. But the foundation, he shrugged. The foundation is still built on blood. I should have been terrified, should have run. But all I felt was a strange sort of understanding. What happened to your father? I killed him. Said so simply, like he was discussing the weather, 5 years ago. He'd started eyeing my sister again, making comments about bringing her back into the family. She was married by then, had a daughter, happy, safe. And he wanted to ruin that because she'd defied him by leaving. Dante's jaw clenched. So I went to his house, looked him in the eye, and put a bullet in his brain. And no one stopped you? They helped. A grim smile. Turns out I wasn't the only one who'd been waiting for the old bastard to die. His own men handed me the gun. We lay in silence for a moment, and I processed this new information. Dante Moretti was a killer, a mob boss, a man who'd murdered his own father and taken over a criminal empire. He was also the father of my child, the man who'd looked at my shabby apartment with horror and vowed to take care of me, who'd made Derek apologize on his knees for insulting me. I should be afraid of you, I said quietly. You should be. He rolled back toward me, his hand finding my stomach. But I hope you're not. I'm not. And it was true. I should be, but I'm not. Why? Because you're gentle with me. Because you care about the baby. Because when you look at me, I don't feel invisible anymore. I covered his hand with mine. And because I think beneath all the violence and the power, there's a good man trying to get out. His laugh was sharp, disbelieving. There's nothing good in me, Emma. Then why do you have limits? Why do you care about innocence? Why did you let your mother and sister go? Because they deserved better than him, better than this life. And don't I deserve better too? Doesn't our baby? He froze. Yes. Which is why I should let you go. Send you somewhere safe, far from this world, where you and the baby can have normal lives. Terror shot through me. Is that what you want? No. The word was torn from him. God help me, no. I want to keep you here, locked away where nothing can touch you. I want to watch you grow round with my child. I want to be there for every appointment, every milestone. I want to hold our baby when it's born, and know that I created something good in this fucked up world. His eyes met mine, blazing with intensity, but wanting something and deserving it are two different things. I kissed him, poured everything I couldn't say into the press of my lips against his. That I wanted this too, that I chose him despite the danger. That maybe together we could be something better than we were apart. He groaned into my mouth, rolled me onto my back, settled his weight between my thighs. Emma, he breathed against my lips, we should stop. Why? Because if we don't, I'm going to make love to you until neither of us can walk. And you need to eat breakfast, Dr. Romanelli said. Fuck what Dr. Romanelli said. I pulled at his hair, bringing his mouth back to mine. I need you more than I need food. Careful, Kara. His hips rocked against mine, and I could feel how much he wanted this too. I'm trying to be a gentleman. I don't want a gentleman. I want you. That broke his control. His mouth was on my neck, my collarbone, marking me with kisses that would leave bruises. His hands pushed up the silk nightgown Maria had left for me. When had I even changed into it? And found the changes pregnancy had made to my body. So beautiful, he murmured against my breast, so fucking perfect. He took his time, learning every new curve and hollow, every sensitive spot that made me gasp. When he finally slid inside me, it felt like coming home, like two broken pieces fitting together to make something whole. We moved together in the morning light, slow and deep and perfect. He whispered to me in Italian, words I didn't understand but felt in my bones. When I came apart beneath him, he swallowed my cries with his kiss, then followed me over the edge with my name on his lips. Afterward, we lay tangled together, sweaty and sated. His hand traced lazy patterns on my stomach. I meant what I said last night, he murmured. You're mine now, both of you. Possessive much? Completely. He pressed a kiss to my shoulder. I don't share, Emma. Not you, not the baby, not anything that's mine. And I protect what's mine with everything I have. Even from yourself? He paused. What do you mean? You said you're dangerous, that I deserve better. So will you protect me from yourself if you think you're hurting me? I would never. Not physically. But emotionally? Dante, this world you live in, these things you do, they're going to affect me too, affect our child. Can you protect us from that? He was quiet for a long moment. I can try. I can keep the worst of it away from you. Keep you safe in this place, in the legitimate parts of my life. But completely separate from it? He shook his head. No, because being mine means accepting all of me. The good and the bad, the violence and the protection, the danger and the safety. Can you do that? Could I? Could I accept loving a man who killed without remorse? Who built his empire on fear? Who would teach our child that family was everything, even when that family operated outside the law? I don't know, I admitted, but I want to try. That's all I ask. He kissed me softly. Now come. You need to eat before I get distracted again. Breakfast was served on the terrace, a space I hadn't noticed last night, with a view that stretched across the entire city. The morning air was crisp and clean, so different from the stale atmosphere of my old apartment. Maria had prepared enough food to feed an army. Eggs, bacon, fresh fruit, pastries, juice, coffee, decaf for me, Dante specified. I ate while he watched, occasionally adding more to my plate, his satisfaction evident every time I took another bite. I have to go out today, he said as I finished my second croissant. Business I can't postpone, but Luca will stay with you, and Maria is here if you need anything. I don't need a babysitter. You need protection. His tone left no room for argument. There are people in this city who would love to hurt me by hurting what's mine. And now that includes you and our baby. The casual way he said it, like threats on my life were just a normal Tuesday, should have terrified me. Maybe it did, a little. What kind of business? I asked. His expression shuddered. The kind that's better you don't know about. Dante, Emma, he took my hand. I'm trying to keep you separate from this part of my life. Let me. Before I could argue, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and swore in Italian. I have to take this. Finish eating. He stepped away, his voice dropping to a low murmur I couldn't hear. I watched him pace the terrace, one hand in his hair, tension radiating from every line of his body. When he returned, his face was carved from stone. What's wrong? Derek Morrison filed a police report last night. Says he was assaulted and threatened by unknown men. His smile was cold. He's also claiming you were kidnapped. My stomach dropped. What? Don't worry. I have people handling it. But it means, he hesitated. It means you need to make a statement. Tell them you weren't kidnapped, that you came willingly. Of course I'll tell them that. It's the truth. Is it? His eyes searched mine. Because from the outside, it looks like I intimidated your ex-boyfriend, then took you to my home and convinced you to stay. They could argue coercion. That's ridiculous. You saved me from him. You offered me a place to stay. I chose to come here. Then that's what you tell them. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling my lawyer. He'll prep you. Make sure you know what to say. I don't need to be prepped. I just need to tell the truth. The truth has a way of getting twisted in the legal system, Kara. Especially when it involves someone like me. He was already dialing. Just trust me on this. An hour later, I was sitting in Dante's home office, a masculine space of dark wood and leather, across from a man who introduced himself as Vincent Castellano, Dante's personal attorney. He was maybe 50, with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Miss Carter, he began, setting a recorder on the desk between us. I need you to tell me in your own words exactly what happened last night. Don't leave anything out. So I told him. About the convenience store, Derek's insults, Dante's intervention, about choosing to come here, about the baby, about everything. Vincent listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes. When I finished, he sat back and studied me. You understand that Mr. Morrison is painting this as a kidnapping? That he's claiming Mr. Moretti threatened him with violence? Dante did threaten him, but Derek deserved it. You should have heard the things he said to me. What Mr. Morrison deserved and what's legal are two different things. Vincent leaned forward. Miss Carter, Emma, I need you to understand something. The police would love any excuse to bring Mr. Moretti down. He's too powerful, too successful, and he operates in spaces they can't touch. But if they can prove he kidnapped you, threatened a civilian, coerced you in any way, but he didn't. I know that. You know that. But perception matters. So when the police come, and they will come, you need to be very clear. You came here of your own free will. You're staying because you want to. Mr. Moretti has made no threats, no demands. You're in a relationship, you're pregnant with his child, and you're here because you choose to be. Understood? I nodded slowly, beginning to understand the precarious position Dante was in. One wrong word from me could destroy him. Good. Vincent stood. They'll probably want to speak to you today. I'll be present for the interview. Don't say anything I don't approve first. He left, and I sat alone in the office, processing everything. This was my life now. Lawyers and police interviews and constant awareness that I could be used as a weapon against the man I was falling for. The door opened and Dante entered. He looked tired, stressed in a way I hadn't seen before. Vincent briefed you? He asked. Yes. And you understand what's at stake? I understand that Derek is trying to hurt you by using me. He crossed to where I sat, knelt in front of my chair, took my hands. I'm sorry. This is exactly the kind of shit I wanted to keep away from you. It's not your fault, isn't it? His laugh was bitter. I saw you in that store, being humiliated by that piece of shit, and I couldn't let it stand. I had to step in, had to show him that you were under my protection, and now you're caught up in this mess. I'm glad you stepped in, I said firmly. I'm glad you were there. I'm glad Derek knows he can't hurt me anymore. But at what cost, Emma? You're going to be questioned by police. Your name is going to be in reports. People are going to know you're with me, and that makes you a target. Then protect me. I cupped his face, forced him to meet my eyes. You said you would, that you'd keep me safe, so do it. Something shifted in his expression. Determination replacing the worry. I will. I swear to you, nothing will touch you or our baby. Nothing. The intercom on his desk buzzed. Mr. Moretti? The police are here. He stood, his entire demeanor changing. The vulnerable man disappeared, replaced by the cold, controlled mob boss I'd first seen in that convenience store. Send them up, he said. Then to me, stay calm. Let Vincent do the talking. And remember, you're here because you want to be. 2 detectives arrived, a man and a woman, both looking deeply uncomfortable to be in Dante Moretti's home. Vincent ushered them into a formal sitting room, and I sat on a velvet couch while they asked their questions. Miss Carter, are you here of your own free will? Yes. You weren't coerced or threatened in any way? No. Mr. Morrison claims that Mr. Moretti assaulted him and forced you into a vehicle. Mr. Morrison is lying. I kept my voice steady, even though my heart was racing. Dante, Mr. Moretti, defended me when Derek was insulting me. He offered me a ride home because I was upset. I chose to come here instead. Why? I met the female detective's eyes, because I'm pregnant with Mr. Moretti's child, and he wants to take care of us. That caused a stir. The detectives exchanged glances, and the male one made a note. And the nature of your relationship with Mr. Moretti? We're together. For how long? Vincent cleared his throat. I don't see how that's relevant to Mr. Morrison's claims. We're trying to establish whether Miss Carter might be under duress, the female detective said. If this is a new relationship, if she's financially dependent on Mr. Moretti. I'm not under duress, I interrupted. I'm in love with him, I'm carrying his child, and I'm here because I want to be. Derek Morrison is my ex-boyfriend who treated me terribly, and he's making these claims because he's angry that someone stood up for me. That's all this is. The interview continued for another 30 minutes, but the detectives seemed to realize they weren't going to get what they wanted. I was coherent, consistent, and clearly not being held against my will. Finally, they left, warning that they might have more questions later. Dante appeared the moment they were gone, pulling me into his arms. You did perfectly. Is it over? For now. He pressed a kiss to my hair. Morrison won't let this go easily. Men like him don't handle rejection well, especially when they're humiliated. But we'll deal with it. How? His smile was dangerous. Leave that to me. 3 weeks passed in a blur of doctor's appointments, shopping trips with Maria, and nights spent in Dante's arms. I'd settled into a routine I never could have imagined, waking up in silk sheets, eating meals prepared by a private chef, being driven everywhere in bulletproof vehicles with Luca as my constant shadow. But it wasn't the luxury that made me stay. It was the man who came home every evening, no matter how late, and placed his hand on my growing belly like it was the most precious thing in the world, who read parenting books when he thought I was asleep, who'd converted one of his guest rooms into a nursery and spent hours debating paint colors with me. Dante Moretti, mob boss and killer, was going to be a father, and he was terrified. What if I'm like him? He asked one night, lying in bed with his head on my stomach, listening for movement that was still too early to feel. What if I hurt our child the way he hurt me? You won't, I said with absolute certainty, my fingers threading through his hair. You're already nothing like him. You love this baby, Dante. I can see it every time you look at me. Loving isn't enough. My father probably loved me too, in his twisted way, but He broke off, his jaw clenching. He still hurt you. I know. I tilted his face up to mine, but you're aware of it. You're afraid of repeating his mistakes. That awareness makes all the difference. He wanted to believe me. I could see it in his eyes. But the scars his father had left weren't just physical. They went bone deep, soul deep, to places I couldn't reach with words alone. The only problem in our perfect bubble was Derek. True to Dante's prediction, he hadn't let it go. He'd made noise to the police, to his father's lawyers, to anyone who would listen, but without evidence of coercion, and with me repeatedly insisting I was exactly where I wanted to be, there was nothing they could do, so Derek had taken a different approach. I was coming back from a doctor's appointment, Luca driving, Maria in the back seat chattering about nursery furniture, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Emma, Derek's voice, slurred and angry. "We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you, but I have plenty to say to you." A bitter laugh. "Do you have any idea what you've done? My father's firm dropped me, said being associated with a Moretti was bad for business. My friends won't return my calls. That fucking mobster ruined my life. You ruined your own life by being a terrible person. I treated you exactly how you deserve to be treated." His voice rose. "You were nothing when I met you, a nobody from foster care with big dreams and no way to achieve them. I gave you everything. A job, connections, a place in my world. And you repay me by fucking a gangster and getting knocked up?" My hand went protectively to my stomach, even though he couldn't see. "I'm hanging up now. Wait." His tone changed, became pleading. "Emma, please, just meet with me. Let me apologize properly. We can fix this. We can be together again. I'll even raise the bastard as my own." The audacity took my breath away. "You called me fat 3 weeks ago. You humiliated me in public. You got me fired and turned everyone against me, and now you want me back?" I was angry. I made mistakes. But we were good together, Emma. You know we were. "We were never good together, Derek. I just didn't realize it until you showed me who you really are." "And Moretti has?" He laughed, harsh and cruel. "Do you know what he does, Emma? Do you know how many people he's killed? The businesses he's destroyed? He's a monster. And you're just his latest plaything. Once he gets bored, he'll throw you away like garbage. Goodbye, Derek. He'll hurt you." Derek was shouting now. "He'll hurt the baby. Men like him don't change, Emma. They just get better at hiding what they are. And when he shows you his true colors, when he puts his hands on you the way his father put hands on his mother, don't come crying to me." I hung up, my hands shaking. Luca's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. "You okay, Miss Emma?" "Fine," I lied. "Just Derek being Derek." But his words haunted me. Men like him don't change. Was it true? Would Dante eventually show the same violence toward me that his father had shown his mother? Doctor Romanelli had said she'd never seen him like this, that I was special. But how many women had thought the same thing about violent men before everything went wrong? When we got home, I went straight to the nursery, my safe space, where everything was soft colors and hope for the future. Maria had helped me pick out a crib, a rocking chair, shelves that would eventually hold books and toys. The walls were a gentle sage green, and we'd hung delicate mobiles that turned slowly in the air conditioning. I sat in the rocking chair and placed my hand on my belly, which was finally starting to show. 14 weeks now. In 6 months, I'd be holding my baby, Dante's baby. "What am I doing?" I whispered to the empty room. "What kind of life am I giving you? The best one I can provide." I jumped, turning to find Dante in the doorway. He looked tired. There were shadows under his eyes that hadn't been there this morning, but his gaze softened when he saw me, the way it always did. "How long have you been standing there?" "Long enough." He crossed to me, knelt beside the rocking chair. "What happened?" Derek called. His expression went ice cold. "And said what?" I told him everything. The job loss, the angry accusations, the suggestion that Dante would eventually hurt me. He listened in silence, his hand coming to rest on my knee, his thumb tracing absent patterns. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "He's right," he finally said. "What?" "That I'm dangerous, that I'm a monster, that men like me don't change." He looked up at me, and the pain in his eyes made my chest ache. "He's right about all of it, Emma. The only thing he's wrong about is that I would ever hurt you or our child. That's the one line I will never cross." "How can you be sure?" "Because I killed my father for less." He said it so simply, like it was obvious. If I ever raised my hand to you, even once, I would put a bullet in my own head before I could do it again. That's how sure I am. That's not reassuring, Dante, I know. He pulled me out of the chair, into his lap on the floor, cradling me against his chest. "I know I'm asking you to trust a man who's done terrible things. I know this world I live in is dangerous and dark. But I swear to you, on everything I am, that I will spend every day for the rest of my life making sure you and our baby are safe, happy, loved." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. "Derek said you'd get bored with me, that I'm just a plaything." His laugh was sharp. "Is that what you think? That this He gestured between us. Is just me playing? Emma, I have been obsessed with you since the moment I saw you in that hotel bar. I have thought about you every single day. I turned this city upside down looking for you. And when I found you again, when I learned you were carrying my child, his hand pressed against my stomach. It felt like fate, like everything in my fucked up life had been leading me to you. That's just the baby talking, the Heir you mentioned. No. He cupped my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. The baby matters, yes, I won't lie about that. But even if you weren't pregnant, I would still want you here, still want you in my bed, in my life, in my future. You're not a plaything, Emma. You're everything. The tears I'd been holding back finally spilled over. He wiped them away with his thumbs, his touch impossibly gentle for such dangerous hands. I'm scared, I admitted, of this life, of this world. Of loving you and losing you, or worse, of you becoming someone I don't recognize. Then I'll spend every day proving to you that I'm worth the risk. He kissed me softly. And if Derek Morrison keeps harassing you, I'll make sure he can't anymore. Don't kill him, I said quickly. Please, Dante. I don't want that on your conscience because of me. His jaw clenched. I won't kill him, but I will make him understand that you're off limits, permanently. How? Leave that to me. 2 days later, Derek Morrison's father's investment firm went bankrupt. The news was everywhere. Massive fraud charges, SEC investigations, assets frozen. Derek's face was plastered across every financial news site, looking shell-shocked and terrified. I found Dante in his office, working at his computer like nothing had happened. Did you do this? He looked up, his expression unreadable. Do what? Don't play games with me. Morrison Investments just imploded. That's not a coincidence. He leaned back in his chair, studying me. Would it bother you if I had? I didn't know how to answer that, did you? His father's firm was built on fraud, insider trading, embezzlement, laundering money for some very bad people. I just made sure the right people found the evidence. He stood, crossed to where I stood in the doorway. Derek Morrison is going to prison, Emma. So is his father. They won't bother you again. You destroyed an entire company. I destroyed a corrupt company that was hurting innocent investors. His hand cupped my cheek. And yes, I did it partly to protect you, to make sure Derek understood that you're mine, and anyone who threatens what's mine pays the price. Does that make you hate me? I should have said yes. Should have been horrified by the casual way he'd ruined lives, sent people to prison, all to protect me from my ex-boyfriend's phone calls. But all I felt was a dark satisfaction that someone finally had made Derek pay for his cruelty. No, I whispered. It doesn't make me hate you. His smile was slow and dangerous. Good, because I'm not done yet. What else are you planning? Nothing that concerns you. He kissed me, deep and possessive. Just trust that I'll always protect you, Kara. No matter what it costs. That night, I woke to find his side of the bed empty. I found him in the nursery, sitting in the rocking chair in the dark, his head in his hands. Dante? I approached carefully. What's wrong? I destroyed people's lives today. His voice was raw. Employees who had nothing to do with the fraud. Investors who trusted the wrong firm. Hundreds of people affected because I wanted revenge on one man. I knelt in front of him, taking his hands. You said they were committing fraud, that they were hurting people. They were. But that doesn't make what I did right. He looked at me, and his eyes were haunted. This is what I am, Emma. This is the monster you're choosing. I solve problems with power and violence and manipulation, and I don't lose sleep over it. Or I didn't. Until now. Until me. Until you. He pulled me into his lap. You make me want to be better. To be worthy of you. Of our child. But I don't know if I can. This is all I know how to be. Then we'll figure it out together, I said firmly. You be the powerful, dangerous man who protects us, and I'll be the conscience that keeps you from going too far. We'll balance each other out. What if it's not enough? Then we'll deal with that too. I pressed my hand to his chest, feeling his heartbeat. But I'm not giving up on you, Dante Moretti. Or on us. He held me tighter, his face buried in my hair. I don't deserve you. Probably not. but you're stuck with me anyway." His laugh was watery, almost broken. "Best thing that ever happened to me." We stayed like that for a long time, holding each other in the nursery while the city lights twinkled outside. Two broken people trying to build something whole. A monster learning to be gentle. A woman learning to be strong. And between us, growing bigger every day, the tiny life that would change everything. The next morning, Dante was gone before I woke up. Maria brought me breakfast in bed, a new routine I'd stopped protesting, along with a note in Dante's sharp handwriting. "Had to handle some business. Luca is downstairs if you need anything. I'll be home for dinner. We need to talk about something important." D. The ominous tone made my stomach clench. What could be so important that he needed to warn me about it? I spent the day anxious, trying to distract myself with baby clothes shopping online, and reorganizing the nursery for the third time. Luca followed me around the penthouse like a silent shadow, never intrusive but always present. "Has Dante seemed off to you lately?" I asked him while rearranging books on the nursery shelf. Luca was quiet for a moment. "Boss has a lot on his mind." "Like what?" "Not my place to say, Miss Emma. But," he hesitated, "he's been making changes, moving assets around, setting things up. He's planning for the future." "Our future?" "Yours and the baby's." Luca's scarred face softened. "I've worked for Mr. Dante for 8 years. Never seen him like this. He's building something, making sure you both are protected no matter what happens." "What could happen?" "In our world, anything." He met my eyes. "But he won't let it touch you. He'd burn the city down first." That should have been romantic. Instead, it was terrifying. Dante came home at 6, exactly as promised. He looked exhausted but determined, carrying a leather folder that he set on the dining room table. "What's that?" I asked. "Our future." He pulled out a chair for me, waited until I sat, then took the seat beside me. "I've been thinking about what you said, about being better, about our child deserving more than a father who solves everything with violence." "Okay, so I'm making changes." He opened the folder, revealing legal documents. "I'm legitimizing the business, all of it. The restaurants, the construction companies, the real estate holdings, everything above board, everything legal." I stared at the papers. "You're going legitimate?" "As much as I can. There are aspects I can't walk away from completely. Obligations, relationships, debts that need to be paid. But the day-to-day operations, I'm handing them over to people I trust. I'll still oversee things, but from a distance. More businessman, less..." He gestured vaguely. "Less mob boss?" His smile was wry. "Exactly. And this..." He pulled out another document. "This is a trust fund for the baby. $20 million, managed by an independent trustee, untouchable by me or anyone else. Whatever happens, our child will be taken care of." My head was spinning. 20 million. Dante, that's nothing compared to what they deserve. He took my hand. "And this is for you. Another document. The penthouse. Transferred to your name, along with accounts in your name, stocks, bonds. You'll never be dependent on me again, Emma. You'll have your own money, your own property, your own power. I don't understand. Why are you doing this? Because I love you." He said it simply, like it was obvious. "Because I want you to choose to stay with me, not because you have to. Not because you're trapped or scared or have nowhere else to go, but because you want to be here." Tears blurred my vision. "You love me?" "I've loved you since that first night." He cupped my face. "I just didn't have the words for it until now. You walked into my life and changed everything, Emma. Made me want to be better, to build something real. And then you gave me the greatest gift." His hand moved to my stomach, and I knew I had to do whatever it took to deserve you both. "I love you too," I breathed. I was so scared to say it, to admit it even to myself, but I do, Dante. I love you so much it terrifies me. He kissed me then, soft and sweet and full of promise. "Marry me." I pulled back, shocked. "What?" "Marry me." He slid off his chair, onto one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was the most beautiful ring I'd ever seen. A cushion-cut diamond surrounded by smaller stones, set in platinum. "Be my wife." Let me give you my name, my protection, my everything. Let me be the husband and father I never thought I could be. Dante, I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring this out. But I'm sure, Emma, more sure than I've ever been about anything. His eyes were blazing with certainty. Say yes. Please say yes. I thought about the past 3 weeks. The gentleness he showed me every day, the way he read to my stomach at night, the nursery he'd designed with such care, the empire he was reshaping just to be worthy of us. I thought about Derek's warnings, about the danger and the violence and the darkness that came with loving a man like Dante Moretti, and then I thought about the alternative, a life without him. Raising our child alone, never feeling his arms around me again, never seeing his face light up when the baby kicked. There was no choice. There had never been a choice. Yes, I said, and watched his face transform with joy. Yes, I'll marry you. He slid the ring onto my finger, then stood and pulled me into his arms, spinning me around until I was dizzy and laughing. When he finally set me down, he was grinning like a kid on Christmas morning. We'll do it soon, he said, already planning. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. And then I'm taking you somewhere tropical where I can make love to you on a beach. What about the baby? I'll be huge by then. You'll be perfect. He kissed me again. And I'll spend every second worshiping every inch of your beautiful pregnant body. Heat flooded through me. Take me to bed. With pleasure. He carried me to the bedroom, our bedroom, and showed me exactly how much he loved me. Afterward, lying tangled in sheets that smelled like sex, and him, I felt something flutter in my belly. Dante, I gasped, grabbing his hand and pressing it to my stomach. Did you feel that? We stayed frozen, waiting. And then it came again, a gentle butterfly sensation, like a whisper against my palm. The baby, Dante breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. That's our baby. That's our baby, I confirmed, tears streaming down my face. He pressed his forehead to my stomach, and I felt his tears hot against my skin. Hi, little one. It's your papa. I can't wait to meet you. And in that moment, I knew. Whatever darkness came with loving Dante Moretti, whatever danger lurked in his world, this was worth it. We were worth it. Our family was worth everything. 6 months later, I stood in front of floor-to-ceiling mirrors in a private boutique, staring at my reflection. The wedding dress was simple but elegant. Ivory silk that draped over my 8-month pregnant belly, empire waist with delicate beading, and a train that pooled behind me like water. My hair was styled in loose waves, and the diamond earrings Dante had given me last night sparkled in the light. You look beautiful, dear, Maria said, adjusting my veil with tears in her eyes. She'd become so much more than a housekeeper. She was the mother figure I'd never had. The one who held my hair when morning sickness struck, who taught me Italian phrases to surprise Dante with, who'd stayed up late helping me plan this wedding. I look like a whale in silk, I muttered, turning sideways to examine my profile. The baby had dropped last week, sitting low and heavy, making every movement an effort. You look radiant. Dante's sister, Isabella, appeared in the mirror behind me. She'd flown in from Miami 2 days ago with her husband and daughter, and I'd liked her immediately. She had Dante's dark eyes but softer features, and the same fierce protectiveness when it came to family. My brother is going to lose his mind when he sees you, if he even makes it to the ceremony, I said nervously. He's been so tense lately, pre-wedding jitters, Isabella assured me. And the fact that you're about to give birth to his first child any day now. The man's a nervous wreck. That was an understatement. Dante had been hovering obsessively for weeks, insisting on driving me to every doctor's appointment personally, calling Dr. Romanelli at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, reading labor and delivery books like they were battle plans. Last week, he'd installed panic buttons in every room of the penthouse, just in case I went into labor while he was in another part of the house. It's almost time, Maria said, checking her watch. The car is waiting. We were getting married at Dante's private estate an hour outside the city, a sprawling property with vineyards and gardens and enough security to protect a head of state. He'd wanted me somewhere safe, somewhere away from the city where enemies might lurk. I'd stopped arguing about his protective measures months ago. This was who he was, and I'd learned to appreciate it rather than fight it. The ride to the estate was smooth, Luca driving while Isabella kept me distracted with stories about Dante as a child. Apparently, he'd been serious even then, already taking on responsibilities beyond his years, protecting his mother and sister from their father's rages. He used to tell me that one day he'd be strong enough to keep us safe, Isabella said softly. And he kept that promise. Even after we left, he made sure we had everything we needed. He put me through college, bought us our house, walks my daughter down the aisle at her quinceañera because my husband was deployed. Her eyes met mine. My brother has done terrible things, Emma. I won't lie about that. But every single one of them was to protect the people he loves, and now that includes you and that baby. The estate appeared on the horizon, and my breath caught. White tents dotted the lawn, strung with thousands of lights that would glow like stars once evening fell. Flowers everywhere, roses and peonies and hydrangeas in whites and soft pinks. A string quartet practicing near the arbor where we'd exchange vows. It was perfect, intimate. Everything I'd dreamed of but never thought I'd have. Ready? Isabella asked as the car stopped. I took a deep breath, my hand going to my belly where the baby was doing acrobatics. Ready. They'd set up a bridal suite in one of the estate's guest houses, a beautiful room with a fireplace and comfortable furniture where I could rest before the ceremony. Dr. Romanelli was waiting there, having insisted on being present in case I went into labor. "How are you feeling?" she asked, checking my blood pressure. Nervous, excited, like I need to pee every 5 minutes. She laughed. "That's normal. Baby's putting pressure on your bladder. Everything else looks good, though. Heart rate is perfect. Blood pressure normal. You might actually make it to your wedding without going into labor. Might? You're 9 days from your due date and fully engaged. This baby could come any time." She patted my hand. "But I have everything I need just in case. Try to relax and enjoy your wedding day." Easier said than done. My stomach was doing flips that had nothing to do with the baby. A knock on the door, and then Dante's voice. "Can I come in?" "You're not supposed to see the bride before the ceremony," Isabella called out. "I just need 5 minutes. Please, Bella." Isabella looked at me, and I nodded. She ushered everyone else out, leaving me alone with the door between us. "I'm here," I said. "I know I can't see you," Dante said, his voice muffled through the wood. "But I needed to know you're okay, that you're still sure about this. Are you having second thoughts?" "God, no. I'm terrified you are." A pause. "You're about to legally bind yourself to me, Emma. To my name, my world, everything that comes with it. And I keep thinking about all the reasons you should run." I opened the door. He stood there in a black tuxedo that fit him like it was made for his body, which it probably was. His dark hair was styled back from his face, and he'd shaved, revealing the sharp angles of his jaw. But it was his eyes that caught me, vulnerable and uncertain in a way I rarely saw. "You're not supposed to see me," I whispered. "I don't care about superstitions." He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "I care about you, about making sure you know what you're choosing." "I'm choosing you." I took his hands. "I'm choosing us. I'm choosing the life we're building together. And yes, I know what that means. The danger, the complications, the scrutiny. But I also know what I'm gaining. A man who loves me completely, who protects me fiercely, who's going to be an amazing father to our child." His hand cupped my face. "I love you so much it scares me." "Good, because I love you just as terrifyingly much." I pulled him down for a kiss. "Now get out of here before Isabella kills us both for breaking tradition." He kissed me once more, deep and possessive, his hand spreading over my belly. "I'll see you at the altar, Mrs. Moretti." "Not yet. I'm not. Close enough." He grinned, and the vulnerability disappeared, replaced by the confident man I'd fallen for. 1 hour, Kara, and then you're mine forever." The ceremony was scheduled for sunset, and as I walked down the makeshift aisle on Luca's arm, the closest thing to a father figure I had, the sky was painted in golds and pinks and purples. Dante stood at the altar under an archway covered in white roses, and when his eyes met mine, Everything else disappeared. There were only about 30 people present. Dante's most trusted men and their families, Isabella and her family, Maria, Dr. Romanelli, the people who mattered, the people who'd become my family over the past 9 months. The ceremony itself was a blur. I remembered the priest's words in Italian and English, remembered Dante's hands shaking as he slid the wedding band onto my finger, remembered his voice cracking when he said, "I do," and I remembered my own vows, promising to love him, to build a life with him, to stand beside him through whatever came. "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." Dante kissed me like he was drowning and I was air, like I was the only thing keeping him anchored to this earth. The small crowd cheered, and when we broke apart, we were both crying. "Mine," he whispered against my lips. "Finally, completely mine." "Yours," I agreed. "Always yours." The reception was held under the tents, with food and music and dancing. Dante refused to leave my side, his hand constantly on my lower back or my stomach, his eyes tracking my every movement like he was afraid I'd disappear. "Dance with me," he murmured during a slow song. "I can barely walk, let alone dance. Then let me hold you while we sway." He pulled me close as my belly would allow, and we moved slowly to the music. His hand pressed against my back, supporting my weight, and I rested my head on his shoulder. "Thank you," I whispered. "For what?" "For finding me. For choosing me. For giving me this." I gestured at the beautiful party, the people celebrating with us, the life we'd built. "I never thought I'd have this. A family. A home. Someone who loves me. You deserve all of it and more." He kissed my temple. "I'm the one who should be thanking you. You took a broken, violent man and made him want to be better. You gave me hope for a future that isn't just blood and power. You gave me—" I gasped, doubling over as pain lanced through my abdomen. "Emma?" Dante's voice went sharp with panic. "What's wrong?" I don't know. Just a cramp. Oh God." Wetness flooded down my legs, soaking through my dress. My water just broke. Chaos erupted. Dr. Romanelli appeared immediately, ushering me toward the house while Dante barked orders at his men. Within minutes, they'd transformed one of the bedrooms into a delivery room. Medical equipment Dr. Romanelli had brought just in case, now being put to use. "How bad is the pain?" she asked, helping me out of my wet dress and into a hospital gown. "It's—" Another contraction hit, and I grabbed Dante's hand hard enough to hurt. "It's bad. Really bad. That's normal. First babies usually take a while, but with how fast your water broke." She checked my dilation and frowned. "You're already at 6 centimeters. This baby's coming fast." The next few hours were a blur of pain and pressure, and Dante's voice in my ear, talking me through each contraction. He never left my side, never flinched when I squeezed his hand hard enough to break bones, never looked away even when I screamed obscenities at him. "You did this to me," I shouted during a particularly bad contraction. "This is your fault." "I know, Kara. I'm sorry. You're doing so well. So strong. I hate you." "I know. I love you too." Despite everything, I laughed. Then another contraction hit, and I was crying again. "Almost there," Dr. Romanelli encouraged. "You're at 9 centimeters. Just a little more." I can't do this." "Yes, you can." Dante's forehead pressed against mine. "You're the strongest person I know, Emma. You survived foster care. You survived Derek. You survived loving me. You can do this." "Stay with me," I begged, terrified suddenly. "Don't leave me. Never. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." 20 minutes later, Dr. Romanelli announced I was ready to push. The pain was indescribable, like being torn apart from the inside. But Dante was there, coaching me through it, telling me I was amazing, that he could see our baby's head, that we were almost done. "One more push," Dr. Romanelli urged. "Give me everything you have." I pushed with every ounce of strength I had left, and then suddenly the pressure was gone, and there was a new sound in the room, a loud, angry wail. "It's a girl," Dr. Romanelli announced, and I sobbed with relief and joy and exhaustion. They placed her on my chest moments later. this tiny, perfect creature with a head full of dark hair and eyes that were trying to focus on my face. She was red and wrinkled and absolutely beautiful. "Oh my God," I breathed. "Dante, look at her." He was crying openly, his hand trembling as he touched her tiny head. "She's perfect. She's absolutely perfect." "Do we have a name?" Dr. Romanelli asked. Dante and I looked at each other. We'd discussed names for months but could never agree. Now, looking at our daughter, I knew exactly what she should be called. "Sophia," I said. "After your mother." Dante's expression crumbled, and he pressed his face into my hair to hide his tears. "Sophia Grace Moretti," he managed. "If that's okay with you." "It's perfect." They let us hold her for a few minutes before taking her to clean her up and do the necessary checks. Dante stayed with me while Dr. Romanelli delivered the placenta and stitched me up, never letting go of my hand. "You were incredible," he said, brushing sweaty hair back from my face. "I have never been more in awe of anyone in my life. I couldn't have done it without you. You could have. But I'm so grateful I got to be here." He kissed me softly. "Thank you for her. For Sophia. For giving me a family." Dr. Romanelli brought Sophia back, all cleaned up and wrapped in a soft pink blanket. "She's perfectly healthy, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, and she has excellent lungs." As if to prove it, Sophia let out another wail. I brought her to my breast, and after a few tries, she latched on and began to nurse. "Natural," Dr. Romanelli said approvingly. "I'll give you threesome privacy. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Moretti." Alone with our daughter, Dante climbed carefully onto the bed beside me, one arm around my shoulders while he stared at Sophia with wonder. "I can't believe she's real," he whispered. "That we made her. Believe it. She's going to have your temper and my stubbornness. We're in so much trouble," he laughed, the sound lighter than I'd ever heard it. "I can't wait." Over the next few hours, people came to meet Sophia, Isabella crying happy tears and declaring her the most beautiful baby ever born, Maria blessing her in rapid Italian, Luca looking completely terrified when I made him hold her. Each of Dante's men who came to pay respects looked at Sophia with a reverence that told me she'd never lack for protection. Finally, it was just the three of us again. Sophia had fallen asleep in Dante's arms, and he looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the universe. "I'm going to give her everything," he said quietly. "The best schools, the best opportunities. She'll never want for anything, never know what it's like to be hungry or scared or alone. I know you will. And I'm going to teach her to be strong, to never let anyone make her feel small, to know her worth." His finger traced her tiny hand. "But I'm also going to teach her to be kind, to use her power for good, to be better than me. You're already better than you think you are." He looked at me, his eyes shining. "That's because of you. You made me better, Emma. You and Sophia. You're my redemption. And you're our protection, our home." I leaned against him, exhausted but happy. "We're a family now. A family," he repeated, like he was tasting the word. I like the sound of that. Sophia stirred in his arms, making the little squeaking noises that meant she'd be waking soon. Dante stood carefully, walking her over to the window where the sun was beginning to rise over the vineyard. "Look, Piccolina," he murmured. "That's your world out there, and your papa is going to make sure it's safe for you. That you can grow up without fear, without violence, without any of the darkness I knew." He pressed a kiss to her forehead. "You're going to change everything, little one. You already have." I watched them silhouetted against the sunrise. My husband and my daughter, the two most important people in my world, and felt a peace I'd never known. Yes, loving Dante Moretti came with danger. Yes, there would be challenges ahead. But we would face them together, as a family. The girl from foster care who'd never belonged anywhere had finally found her home. Not in a place, but in the arms of a man who'd move heaven and earth to protect her, and in the tiny life they'd created together. Derek had been right about one thing. I had gotten fat. Beautifully, gloriously fat, with the child of the most powerful man in the city. The man who was now my husband. The man who'd saved me, claimed me, loved me with an intensity that still took my breath away, and I wouldn't change a single thing. "Come back to bed," I called softly to Dante. All three of us should rest. He returned with Sophia, settling us both against his chest. The baby's breathing was soft and steady between us, and I felt Dante's heartbeat strong and sure beneath my cheek. I love you, he whispered into my hair. Both of you. More than anything in this world. We love you too, I whispered back. Always. Outside, the sun continued to rise, painting the sky in golds and roses. A new day. A new beginning. A new life built on love instead of fear. On hope instead of violence. On the promise that broken people could create something beautiful together. Sophia Grace Moretti would grow up knowing she was wanted, cherished, protected. She would never know the loneliness I'd felt, the fear Dante had experienced. She would be raised in love by parents who'd found each other against all odds and chosen to build something better. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Not redemption exactly, but something close to it. A chance to break the cycle, to create light from darkness. To prove that even in the dangerous world of organized crime, love could flourish, and families could thrive. Derek Morrison had mocked me in that convenience store, called me fat, tried to humiliate me. He'd meant to destroy what little confidence I had left. Instead, he'd set in motion a chain of events that gave me everything I'd ever wanted. A husband who worshipped me. A daughter who would never doubt her worth. A family that was mine, completely and irrevocably mine. I closed my eyes, listening to Sophia's soft breathing and Dante's steady heartbeat, and smiled. Thank you, Derek, I thought, for being exactly the asshole you are, because without you, I never would have found my way home.